Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for participating in today's media conference. On behalf of the presidents and the chancellors of the Western Athletic Conference, it is my privilege to announce today that the University of Denver, Texas State University, and the University of Texas San Antonio have accepted membership in the WAC effective July 1, 2012. As the WAC prepares for a new era, on July 1, 2012, the WAC will have just concluded its 50th year as a conference. And we are very confident that these three schools will play major roles in repositioning the WAC for its next 50 years. On the football side, we believe strongly that Texas State and UTSA are well prepared to make the move to FBS 1A. Both have made significant investments in their football programs, and we are confident both the Roadrunners and the Bobcats will have an immediate impact in the WAC and on the national football landscape. It won't take long for these two football teams to be playing in bowl games. And can one of these football programs be the next Boise State? Absolutely. And while the Denver Pioneers won't be competing in football, they too have made significant investments in their overall athletics programs and facilities over the past 10 years and will be ready from day one to compete for WAC championships in all the sports they sponsor. I've said often that when schools join the WAC, they get better. And over the past 10 years, we have a track record to prove it. And when a school like Denver, Texas State, and UTSA have the commitment from their presidents and chancellors, as these three schools have, and have been provided the type of resources they have received in recent years, it's definitely a recipe for immediate success. The WAC welcomes these three additions and looks forward to a bright and promising future with them flying the WAC banner. At this time, I will take questions from the media that are on the call today.
At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Our first question comes from Dan McCarney of San Antonio Express.
Good afternoon, Karl.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Can you tell me exactly when UTSA will be joining in reference to football? Will it be 2012, or is there a possibility that they might be able to play a partial schedule at that point, even delay their entrance until 2013?
You know, ideally, and speaking with Coach Coker and Lynn Hickey, we know that UTSA's plan and preference would be to delay until 2013. And until we know for sure what our complete football membership might be starting 2012, we will delay any decision on that. We certainly respect and understand Coach Coker's kind of game plan and when he believes that he'll have the best chance to compete, and that's important to the WAC as well. So at this juncture, we don't know, Dan, whether it'll be a 2012 football start date or a 2013 football start date.
What are some factors that could play into that? Montana, there's reports on the wire that they've bowed out at this point. Are you continuing to hold hope that maybe in a couple months they might change their mind? Are they off completely, or are you going to, in addition to that, are you going to be looking at maybe adding new members in that window until this summer?
I talked with the University of Montana president this morning, at which time he informed me that they had decided to stay in the Big Sky and to remain in the FCS, the Football Championship Bowl subdivision. I don't expect that they're going to change their mind. That would have had obviously an impact on how we transition to the WAC beginning 2012. So I think that at this time, the University of Montana is no longer a football program or a member that we expect in 2012. That doesn't mean that we are not going to continue to consider all of our options and look at possible other football playing programs for the WAC. We said at the outset that the minimum number of football programs that we needed in 2012 would be 8. Ideally, it would be 9. and that ideally we would be a 10-team league in the non-football sports. But I think we still have options. We still have time, and that's one of the things that that we're glad that we were able to get this piece completed now with Texas State and UT San Antonio and Denver, that will allow our coaches in all sports to go forward and be able to show future student athletes that come July 1, 2012, the WAC is definitely going to be a very viable and a very credible conference for the 2012 season.
Thank you very much, Karl.
Bet, Dan.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Chuck Miketenak of Fox San Antonio.
Mr. Benson, how you doing today? Thanks for having this.
Very well, Chuck. Good afternoon.
Hey, thanks. Hey, how attractive was you guys now penetrating 2 of the top 40 television markets? How attractive was that in, letting Denver and UTSA into the new conference?
Well, I think that the combination of UT San Antonio, UTSA, Texas State, and capturing the Austin, San Antonio market, getting back into the state of Texas, and especially into South Texas, that has not necessarily been a college football hotbed. That we think that the combination of Texas State and UT San Antonio can bode very, very well for the future of the WAC. University of Denver and being in this market and really an untapped market and a major market that really has been void of college basketball. We've tracked the University of Denver and the development and how they've built their facilities, and we've often asked, and I have lunch with Peg Bradley Doppas once every quarter over the last 5 years to talk about the University of Denver and what's their future and what comes first. Them being a top 25 program in the Sun Belt, or joining the WAC and taking advantage of the WAC's resources to get to the point where they can really be a top 25 team. And we think the potential there is there. Joe Scott has proven before that he can take teams to the NCAA tournament. I mentioned earlier about Texas State and UT San Antonio. Is it possible for them to be the next Boise State? I think the same thing could be said about the University of Denver. Could they be the next Gonzaga? And there isn't any reason that the University of Denver can't have the same type of success that Gonzaga has had.
And if you don't mind me giving one little follow-up here, any concerns from the pre-existing schools about travel costs? Because, Texas State and UTSA, these schools, if they're traveling all of their teams to be in the WAC now, this is going to be a huge, budget increase for them, no doubt. But was there any concern traveling from the pre-existing members from the WAC about traveling down to Texas now for the rest of their sports, including football?
Well, the history of the WAC is that we've, for the last, 12-plus years, we've been in the Central Time Zone, the Mountain Time Zone, the Pacific Time Zone, and the Hawaii Time Zone. So, we have not extended outside of our boundaries. We've kept inside our boundaries. We think that with travel partners, with UTSA and Texas State being travel partners, and New Mexico State and Louisiana Tech, or some type of combination of those four, that we will be able to at least reduce the travel costs and the travel demands on our student athletes. And we can't eliminate the fact that we span from Ruston, Louisiana to Honolulu, and now from San Antonio to Moscow, Idaho. That's those are our boundaries, and I think that we're unique in that. It's tough and it's difficult, and there are financial challenges, but we also think that it's a unique set for now this next generation of the Western Athletic Conference.
Thanks for your time, sir. I much appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Skylar Dixon of Associated Press.
Skyler Nixon of the AP, because I've got a similar question, just worded a little better.
Okay.
With Fresno and Nevada also in the mix, it was a pretty big blow. And how difficult has it been to try to rebuild from that? And what have those conversations been like with some of the people that you've tried to attract?
Well, again, the WAC has taken blows in the past, and we've been able to add schools over the course, since 1998, and that this is the next opportunity to provide, Texas State and UT San Antonio and the University of Denver an opportunity to take their programs to another level. And the WAC has been known for providing those types of opportunities for our schools and for our student athletes. And so I think it's an opportunity and one that I'm confident that these three schools that we're adding today and whether we add others, in the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days, we'll take it as a challenge. The six continuing schools also recognize that this is an opportunity for them, and that they have an opportunity to maintain and continue the tradition of the WAC as being a conference that puts teams, in postseason bowl games, that puts football teams on big stages and in front of big audiences, and puts teams in the NCAA tournaments and to win national championships. And that despite the change in membership, that the teams that play under the WAC banner are able to have success.
Did you all miss Texas? I mean, you went 38 years with a team from Texas, and I guess 5 years without now. Have you missed Texas, and was that a consideration as you looked at expansion?
Well, again, I think it was a matter of what was available out there, and Texas State and UTSA obviously were schools that were looking to make the move from FCS to FBS, and that the timing was right, and at the same time, to think that we are able to bring in schools of this stature, both athletically, academically, the growth that is occurring on those two campuses, with them both having over 30,000 students today, and with models in place, revenue models in place that are going to provide them the resources to compete at this level. I think the WAC was very fortunate that Texas State and UTSA are available to us at this time.
And what about the future, the possibilities elsewhere? Are there specific places that you're looking? I know you wouldn't talk about specific schools, but regionally or anything like that? Are there areas that you kind of have in mind?
Well, I'll have to admit that we were expecting that the University of Montana would be part of the WAC. I received a phone call late yesterday afternoon, a voice message from Montana President informing me that he wanted to talk to me this morning, and I was hoping, anticipating that the call this morning was to inform me that Montana was indeed going to make the move from FCS to FBS, and that who knows, we may have been announcing Montana today along with Texas State and UTSA and the University of Denver. But unfortunately, the call that I was hoping to receive from Montana didn't occur. Now it's time for us to move forward. I respect the decision that the University of Montana has reached. They certainly have done it with a lot of analysis, and they've spent time researching and making sure that the decision that they made was going to be in the best interest of the future of the University of Montana, and we certainly wish them well, and who knows what may happen 5 years from now.
Thank you, sir.
Our next question comes from Dave Reardon of Honolulu Star-Advertiser.
Good afternoon, Karl.
Hi, Dave.
A couple of quick questions. Does Denver have any long-term plans of at least looking at starting a football program. And can you talk about what happened with Seattle, which was often mentioned as a potential WAC member?
We haven't even had that discussion with the University of Denver. Right now, there's no expectation on our part, and I'm not aware of any interest on their part. They fill a spot for us from all the other sports. And again, we even go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, Dave, that I often came out and said that that a 9-team football league and adding a non-football playing member like a Denver made a lot of sense in terms of maintaining kind of the perfect number for football and creating the perfect number for the other team sports, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, soccer, etc. But so Denver is a program that again it's a new program to Division I, yet they have some great history, great tradition. I'm currently on the University of Denver campus, and once I get done with this teleconference, we'll participate in a celebration down on the floor of Magnus Arena, and just walking through there 40 minutes ago, the enthusiasm and the anticipation that exists here at the University of Denver campus is tremendous. I know that this teleconference is being aired on the Texas State campus and the UTSA campus, and to those fans and staff and coaches that are listening to me now, in San Marcos and in San Antonio, welcome to the WAC, and we certainly are looking forward to a great future with the two Texas schools. I will be in San Marcos on Tuesday. We'll be in San Antonio on Wednesday to take part in kind of follow-up events there. And this is a great day for these three schools. And again, the WAC has this history of taking in schools that want to be successful. And these three schools have invested in their future, and that they are looking now at the WAC as being an opportunity to really put their programs forward in all their sports.
Could you address the part of the question about Seattle?
Sorry, Dave. Was I rambling there? I apologize.
Oh no, that's okay. It's all
anyway.
Good.
No, Seattle is definitely still on our list. They have not been eliminated in any shape or form, and we were, again, the Montana piece was one that that we were patiently waiting to see what Montana was going to do, and now that they've elected to stay in the Big Sky, we will turn our attention to kind of the next phase, and whether that's 30, 60, 90, 120 days, as I said, we will now kind of look at the options, the opportunities. Seattle U is another program similar to the University of Denver that historically, the 60s and 70s, had a quote major college program. Went back. Now they brought it back, and Seattle is very similar to the University of Denver. Maybe 10 years later in their plan and their strategic plan for the future. But we think very, very much of Seattle U, and I'm sure that again, as we explore all options, they will continue to be high on our radar screen.
Is it that two non-football playing schools would be less than ideal?
Yeah, I don't think you can categorize it as one way or the other. That
okay.
What do they bring? And again, I think that it is important from a non-football standpoint to have an even number of schools, and that that a 10-team league for the other sports is important.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, Dave.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Tyler Mayforth of San Marcos Daily Recorder.
Hi, how's it going? Actually, Richard White with the San Marcos Daily Record. I was just wondering, does this move appease Hawaii and Louisiana Tech, two schools that have been noted to on the edge with their membership?
I know that that the Louisiana Tech administration and fan base is very excited about Texas State and UTSA in terms of geography and potential rivals and travel partners. Hawaii is a much different animal, so to speak. That they are isolated now. We recognize that. We will do the best we can to accommodate the University of Hawaii. Hawaii is now the senior most member of the WAC, and they are a very important and valuable piece to the WAC and the WAC future, both from a television standpoint on the football side and what ESPN means for the WAC in the future. So, we will do everything we can to accommodate the University of Hawaii and make sure that as they look at this next generation of the WAC that they are a major player in the decisions that we make going forward.
Yeah, you also spoke about wanting to get back into the Austin market. I was wondering, what are some other factors that made Texas State very appealing to join the WAC?
And I apologize, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said you wanted to get back into the Austin market earlier. I was wondering, what are some of the other factors that made Texas State an appealing choice to join the WAC?
I think what I've seen since the day several months ago that President Trout and Larry Tice came to Denver specifically to see me, and this was prior to Boise State's decision to leave the WAC, prior to Fresno State and Nevada's decision that the two of them came to Denver and we met at the Denver airport for 3 hours and they presented to me their plan for the future, and I was very impressed with not just what they've already done thus far from a facility standpoint and an investment standpoint, but what their plan was for the future. And intercollegiate athletics is so dependent on leadership, and it has to start at the presidential level, and that the two presidents and chancellor that represent the three schools that we're adding today have a tremendous support for intercollegiate athletics. And what has occurred on all three campuses, I think, gives me very, very strong optimism that these three schools are going to be successful in the WAC.
Karl, are you going to regionalize the conference and make an East and West division?
Not at this juncture. It depends on what the final structure might be.
And then with last question, with all the conference realignment happening since this summer, it's been kind of a domino effect. What do you say to those who say that adding these schools may be seen as an act of desperation?
Well, I don't think it's an act of desperation. It's an act of it's a proactive approach to solidify the conference for the future. And again, I think we're fortunate to be able to attract the quality of schools that we're bringing in today. That these three schools are very healthy. They have strong leadership. They have great potential in terms of population and potential community support, and that we think that these three schools will prosper under the WAC umbrella.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from John Wilner of San Jose Mercury News.
Karl, thanks for your time. So there seems to be, going forward, there'll be a void at the top of the WAC football standings. And I was wondering, based on what you know of the continuing schools and the additions of their infrastructure and resources, do you have any thoughts on which may be better, more likely to fill that hole at the top of the football standings?
Well, again, I think, John, from a historical standpoint, the one thing that the WAC has going forward that doesn't exist in the other three quote group of five, the non-automatic qualifying conferences, that with Hawaii, the WAC still has a team in its inventory that is playing in a BCS game. And there's only been 2 conferences that have put teams into the BCS, the WAC and the Mountain West. And as we go forward, with this new membership, we still will be able to claim that we've had a team in Hawaii that has played in a BCS game. And I said, several times over the course of the last 3 or 4 months now, I've been fortunate to go to 3 BCS games in the last 4 years, 2 with Boise State, 1 with Hawaii. And I'm expecting that, that somewhere down the road I will go to another BCS game with a WAC member. And one of those 6 or one of the 2 or more that are going to be a part of the WAC in the future.
You talked about a few minutes ago about how important the commitment is from at the presidential level and the administrative level. Do you, in terms of San Jose State, do you see that kind of commitment that leads you to think that the Spartans may be able to make a jump and be one of the on-field leaders in the new WAC?
I think that the potential is there, John. And besides Hawaii, San Jose State is the second longest tenured member of the WAC since 1996, and I know that that we've been waiting for San Jose State football to deliver, so to speak. And there was the opportunity or the time that Dick Tomey took the team to the New Mexico Bowl and won a bowl game, and we thought that they were there, and now Mike McIntyre, I think that we are confident that that they've got the right guy in place now. Don Cassing, what a great opportunity for San Jose State to bring him back in this period of time, especially to lead San Jose State. Tom Bowen is not going to give up, and that San Jose State is going to take advantage of this this new era to contend, and that very easily, I said earlier, is Texas State or UT San Antonio the next Boise State? Is San Jose State the next Boise State? I think any of the schools going forward, the 6 schools going forward, can easily be the next Boise State.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Bob Condata of Seattle Times newspaper.
Hi, Karl. Yeah, my questions were kind of about Seattle U and were kind of addressed there, but I just want to make sure you kind of mentioned the 30 to 120 day timeline. I mean, is that like a set thing where you hope to maybe make a decision on that in that time? And you also kind of mentioned wanting, it might be desirable to have 10 teams. Obviously, you have 9, which I guess would maybe bode well for Seattle U. I mean, is that something that would also play into maybe making a decision quickly?
Bob, I don't know if our next decision is going to be as quick as this one. We changed our timeline coming out of the August 18th announcement by Fresno State and Nevada, and that the reason we did that was that we believed that it was important to show that the WAC was going forward. We were hearing from our coaches that they were getting negative recruiting as to what the future of the WAC. So that's what led us to kind of move up the timetable now. I think that we perhaps have stabilized and maybe have eliminated some of that negative recruiting that might be going on, and now may give us a chance to to pause and see exactly what what the opportunities are for us. But again, Seattle U is high on our list. When we made the decision to go with the University of Denver, it was a close decision at this juncture. I've talked with Bill Hogan often. He understands it and is sitting patiently waiting for us to kind of make the next step.
Can you speak to why what advantage Denver might have had right now over Seattle?
I think it's the fact that they've been back in Division I for 10 plus years. The infrastructure that the University of Denver has in terms of funding, funding their sports, at a maximum level. Their facilities that they've built over the course of the last 10 years have really made them a legitimate Division I program, and it's just a matter of history. We think, again, and I said this earlier, that that Seattle U may be 10 years behind Denver or 8 years behind Denver in terms of what their potential is, but there's the same type of energy, very, very similar history between University of Denver and Seattle U, and again, I think that the leadership at Seattle U, that Father Sandberg is committed to to Division I sports.
And if you made your trip, it seemed like a month ago or so or whatever, you guys were going to make trips to these schools. Have you done that to Seattle U lately?
We have not, Bob. And whether we do that in this next go around, I'm not sure. As you know, I'm a native of the state of Washington. I'm well aware of the Seattle infrastructure and the Seattle U infrastructure, and Bill Hogan and I communicate regularly. So it's not that we don't and aren't aware of what Seattle U is doing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Teddy Feinberg of Las Cruces Sun News.
I was wondering about the future of the WAC bowl games as it stands now. Obviously, the New Mexico Bowl was just recently taken over by the Pac-12, and what do you guys say about that?
Again, those are decisions that we'll face down the road. We expect that at a minimum that we will retain our relationship with the Hawaii Bowl in Hawaii and Humanitarian Bowl in Boise at a minimum. Those two are bowls that will continue to be part of the WAC inventory, and whether we are able to enter into other bowl arrangements. We've already had conversation with New Mexico Bowl about a possible New Mexico State clause that would allow New Mexico State to fill a spot in the New Mexico Bowl. We've talked to the Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl in San Francisco about the same type of an arrangement with San Jose State. With the two Texas schools now coming in, Louisiana Tech, we'll talk to the Texas Bowls about some type of arrangement. So, the WAC has been creative in the past about managing our bowl opportunities, and I think that we'll continue to do so.
Thank you.
Our last question comes from Ellis Mather of KUTA TV.
Hi, Karl. Thanks for spending time with me. Can you give details as to the conference revenue distribution with regard to the University of Denver, where they don't have a football program? Would they be receiving full WAC revenues?
Those issues haven't been addressed, but as other conferences that have non-football members, there are formulas that are put in place, and again, as we go forward, those are some of the issues that we still have to address.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your participation today, and we'll look forward to speaking with you in the future. Thank you very much.